It's a balanced scale where as much as I dream is as much as I have nightmares. It's a crazy mental game that I go through before I fight. That's why I'm calm after, no matter what, because I've almost, in my mind, I've lived both experiences, so I'm gonna know how to react when it happens.
Hello! This is a very interesting technique used by Brian Ortega. A form of reflection and visualization going over different outcomes before the match even begins. Of course, we all know Conor McGregor has a heavy emphasis on positive outcomes. Interestingly though, the Diaz brothers imagine the opposite, the worst outcome, so that those scenarios lose their power over them. Brian Ortega though, by apparently combining the two philosophies, the good and the bad, he's taken the pressure off himself, assuring that his mind can just focus calmly upon the moment. It's just as Miyamoto Musashi had said, the way of the warrior is resolute acceptance of falling. Both Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier were astounded by how calm and focused Brian Ortega was, and definitely his acceptance of whatever happens allowed him to retain that composure, thus just focus on the match. No excess thought, just a hyper-focus that allowed him to react to what the moment called. The result of this was Brian T-City Ortega KOing a living legend who's never been KO'd before. Let's now take a closer glance at a few of the techniques used. In this match, both of them came in with strong backgrounds in boxing. Frankie typically uses his speed and combinations to create openings as he comes in, but naturally both with that hard boxing core stuck behind their jab to manage distance and field reactions for the setup into bigger shots. With Brian having the reach and size advantage, by moving back and distancing it made it very difficult for the smaller Frankie to find his shots. This bought Brian time to figure out Frankie's game plan. One of Brian's most effective tools is his high guard. His utilization of it is one of the best I've ever seen in MMA. It does have vulnerabilities versus precise straight shots, but even then, the way he would plant his palms on his cheek or temples and see the shots coming, he would then angle his elbows to muffle or block his opponent's punches. It's a very active high guard, not just a shell he holds up, because that versus the smaller mixed martial arts gloves might still have openings. Instead, he calmly observes your strikes and actively angles his elbows to break your punch's line of trajectory. Definitely his calm mind and nerves of steel are what make this technique so effective. With Frankie rushing in so often to bridge that distance, Brian often used a pretty textbook tool to stifle that aggression, the check hook. Notice how he uses it to beat Frankie to the punch. When he'd notice Frankie load up his backhand, instantly Brian would fire off that check hook whilst rolling away from the shot, which would have his shoulder deflected. Now, the elbow that rocked Frankie. Why did it land? It landed because Frankie was expecting a check hook. Frankie picked up on Brian's use of check hook to counter against his right, so instead, Frankie feinted the right into guard to block the hook whilst firing off a lead hook. Unfortunately though, Brian did not feel the distance for his hook and used a completely different technique. He flowed out an elbow instead, completely catching Frankie off guard. Now, you have to respect how methodical Brian was. When he landed this shot, he did not rush in. Instead, he was very calm, making certain he did not get overexcited to rush the finish. This meant he could better pick his shots based upon how Frankie was reacting, thus make less mistakes. And the uppercut that lands, a bolo uppercut, with Frankie tucking his head down, trying to recompose himself against that crouched position. Brian, he slings his arm back and harnesses the elastic properties of his fascia tendons and ligaments. Thus, the already rocked Frankie just could not take the technique. Now, Brian is a really cool guy with a great heart. He genuinely wants to use the privilege he's been given by the UFC to make the world a better place, using the wealth he garners towards that end goal. You have to respect a guy like that, and to that end, with his heart in the right place, I hope he achieves what he's been called here to do. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you did. It's good karma. And until next time, peace.